and then the rains failed to come in the expected quantities. The result has been devastating drought that has left communities in desperate need of food and water. The landscape is dotted with animal carcasses, with the pastoralists struggling to save the remaining herds. 2.1 million people in at least 12 counties are facing starvation, unable to put together even a meal. NTV's science editor, Zainab Wandati, has been to Isiolo County to witness the ravages of drought and how the residents are countering the effects of climate change.
This is a journey of desperation. The dust they kick up reveals little of how far they've come. After hours of walking, finally, the journey is over. Water doesn't come easy. This is the first drink they've had in days. This is Kulamawe in Isiolo County, where livestock and humans come to quench their thirst. The water is a little salty, but they have no choice. It's the only source of water they have left. Everything else has dried up.
The three rivers that Wasonyiro, Isiolo River and Kina River and Bisanadi, all of these are very, very, very low flows. In fact, like if you go to areas of downwards, like in Cherab, Merti, the river has actually dried up. For long, now we've not had pasture, enough pasture. Trekking distance is actually, on average, is around 30 kilometers. 15 kilometers one way, 15 kilometers for trekking distance to water.
Mbuzi wanaona hapo, wale wanatoka kutafuta hii maji ni kama kilomita 20. Inapiga usiku huko, inafika hapa saa 4, inakunya maji na inapiga barabara tena mpaka Boma.
Ikifika kwa Boma, jua imetoa. Sasa inaenda kulala na hiyo maji tu. Kesho yake inaenda kutafuta malisho tena. Karibu 40 kilometers tena.
This is the reality of the drought ravaging Kenya's drylands, leaving more than 2 million people hungry.
In Isiolo, we've been having like 4 threats over the last 1 year. First, we had the locust invasion. Second, we had there was a time last year where there were some areas with flash floods and drought. And currently, we are also facing the COVID-19 pandemic. All these sectors, all these threats have actually impacted negatively to the livelihood of the communities.
It's been months without rain and with barely anything left for the animals to eat. It's survival for the fittest.
Amepoteza kama 15 ng'ombe, mbuzi kama 20 na kama 30, kama 31 mbuzi. Ile inakufa na ukame. Hata ile nabaki inaendelea kukufa.
Kuna mbuzi karibu 30, sasa karibu 20 meza. Watoto wote wamekufa. Sasa hapa mwenye sasa iko watoto 2 mbuzi hapa ndani sasa. Ile imeleta kutoka mbuzi. Sasa nitapeleka kavi kama mama nyumba wamekufa kwa sababu ya ukame.
The East African region is the most food insecure region in the world, with 1 in every 5 hungry people globally located here. Now, macroeconomic shocks such as the COVID-19 pandemic and droughts have increased acute hunger to unprecedented levels, and the government now reports that at least 600,000 people across the country, children especially under the age of 5, are severely malnourished and in need of immediate treatment. Now, this is Kipsing Health Center in Isiolo County, and it is one of 45 health centers in this county that are tracking down these malnourished children and putting them on immediate care.
I can't tell the exact number, but kiangalia namba ya watoto wenye tulipata juzi wakati tulifanya mass screening na tukaadmit kwa program wako wengi sana.
Over the last few months, this clinic has been busy, attending to women and children mostly. For many of these children, the food supplements they get here is the only source of food they have. Kaltuma Abdullahi is a nutrition officer at the Garbatula Hospital. Her days at the hospital are spent trying to save the lives of those who can barely feed themselves. Today she's checking up on 4-year-old Rahma, who is being treated for severe malnutrition.
The nutrition status as at now, it's worsening. In that, in the previous year, we don't used to have so many children in our program.
Hatuna uwezo mingi sana wa kununua chakula na kuangalia watoto wako. Familia mzima watoto 7 sio mchezo. Tunapika hapa lakini wanakula mchana, usiku hakuna sapa. Sasa hata kuwanunulia kitu kuongezea nguvu hatuwezi kupata.
Rahma is the youngest of Fatuma's children and the only one who is guaranteed food each day through the government supplements. And although the government doesn't recommend it, the other children sometimes share Rahma's food.
Kama kila siku kilo iongezeke, kila siku wanaambiwa kilo ni kidogo. Wanapatiwa kitu tu supplement.
This is supplements for nutrition. This is RUTF, this is ready to use therapeutic food for severe cases. And this is RUSF, ready to use supplementary food. It's for moderate cases. This is what we use to supplement those who are malnourished.
Rahma's family is among the 2.1 million people in the country who barely have anything to eat. If the drought persists, the number of those affected could rise to 2.4 million by November.
Hakuna msaada inatolewa hata chakula tupatangi kama zamani. Tunaishi tu kivyetu. Kama ukikosa saa nyingine mnalala hata tupu.
We estimate around currently 55% of the people in Isiolo are in need of food. This is because of the 4 threats that combined have actually resorted to that. And therefore it means now we have to do programs on cash transfers.
Nikijaribu kuuza mbuzi sasa nijaribu kusave family naye mbuzi naye haina pesa. Sababu zimekonda. Unaona? Kama NGO kama juzi yao ingetupasaidia kiasi. Kama definitely pia kama juzi walitupatia shilingi 5,000 kwa kila mwezi 2. Hiyo pesa ilitusaidia kiasi.
We targeted over 2,400 households with cash transfers for food assistance. In Garbatula, where we are right now, we targeted about 200 households with cash transfers. So they've received 2 months transfers already of 5,000 shillings each, which is calculated to be at least 50% of the food needs for a household of 6 people.
Previously, the government and the World Food Programme distributed relief food as the primary drought emergency response, but now help is being extended through cash. That way, WFP argues the communities will have the dignity to choose what they want to eat.
The decision to provide relief through cash transfers is something that we made quite a while back. I'll give an example of 2017 drought, where we actually worked together with the national government and conducted a relief response in 14 counties using cash transfers.
So severe is this drought that the government recently declared it a national disaster and then put out a United Nations flash appeal to raise funds for emergency response.
Once the national disaster is declared, then basically the major point is that it opens up opportunities for mechanisms to seek resources to support the government on the need and the call that has been made.
The flash appeal is looking to raise $139 million to send help to 1.2 million people. The bulk of this money will go towards addressing food security shortfalls between now and December.
We are working hard to secure more resources to extend that support because as we can see, the situation is still with us. The need is very dire.
Drought rarely strikes the entire country at the same time, and you'll find that when one part of the country is starving and barely able to put together even just one meal, another part of the country has plenty, in fact more than what it needs. And so one of the challenges that the country often faces is how to get this food from where it is to where it isn't.
The markets are functioning. There's produce from other areas that can reach these areas. And we believe that with cash transfers, there's an infusion of that into the local economy. Rather than bringing corn from the US, you'd rather provide that money and then people buy from the market.
The offer ambayo tumepokea leo kutoka kwa ukarimu wa watu wa Nyandarua kusaidia ndugu zao kule Wajia, Mandera na kule Turukana kokote ambako kuna njaa. Mimi nitawasilisha that offer kwa ile kamati Mheshimiwa Rais ameunda ambayo inashughulikia mambo haya ya ukame.
This is not the first time that Kenya has put out a flash appeal for drought emergency. In 2017, a similar appeal was made when more than 2 million people were on the brink of starvation. Yet, despite the interventions, the ravages of drought only get worse. Communities living in Kenya's arid lands are among the poorest and most vulnerable populations on the planet. They suffer from an increasing array of both natural and man-made shocks that relegate a majority of the population to a state of chronic poverty and food insecurity. And climate change is making it almost impossible to survive any drought. Over the last 50 years, scientists have recorded a general decline in rainfall in all the 21 ASOL counties, while temperatures rose. In fact, between 1960 and 2014, the ASOLs had warmed by between 0.5 and 1.9 degrees Celsius. Isiolo specifically had recorded temperature changes of 1.01 degrees Celsius, which has not only made the county hotter, but also led to a decline in the cattle population by at least 10.4% between 1977 and 2015. By 2030, Isiolo is projected to be 1.2 degrees hotter. This will make livestock production nearly impossible.
Hakuna soko, mifugo hata ukiuza haina soko. Wafugaji wako na shida sana sababu wakipeleka mbuzi soko hakuna mtu ananunua. Watu wanataka mbuzi ile imenona na wafugaji hawana mbuzi ile imenona.
As climate change threatens to produce more emergency situations, the resources required to respond remain inadequate. Donors and policymakers acknowledge that the nature of conventional responses to emergencies caused by drought are doing little to build resilience, forcing communities to forever live on humanitarian assistance.
We'll have part 2 of When Drought Ravages by Zainab Wandati after the break. Stay with us.
I have good taste and only go for things that are real.
Only Manji make the real digestive biscuits. Real crunchy, real tasty, and the real source of high fiber. Manji digestive biscuits, the real thing.
The Capital Markets Authority regulates and promotes the development of an orderly, fair and efficient capital markets in Kenya with investor protection as the key objective. Learn how to invest today for a source of income tomorrow. Before you invest, investigate. Don't be a victim of financial fraud. Contact the Capital Markets Authority on 2264-900 or visit our website at www.cma.or.ke for more information.
My darlings, my love will protect you from everything, visible and invisible. We might not always have plenty, but we will always have enough. And whatever Mama touches will magically turn into more for you. Just one capful of Dettol is enough to disinfect surfaces and protect your family and your home. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Mix of the Week in association with Airtel.
My head to my toes. Unanipigia simu kama nani? Eti niachane mume wako nani? Unajua Nadia kweli mimi nani?
Only thing you can be sure of is Airtel's amazing data bundles. Get 2 GB for 99 bob, 600 MB for 50 bob, and 200 MB for 20 bob only. For the best data rates in Kenya, dial *544# to subscribe.
His Excellency Hassan Ali Joho has granted 100% waiver on all interest for residential, commercial, industrial and agricultural property rates. All property owners in Mombasa County are advised to take advantage of the waiver period that ends on 20th October 2021. Take notice that once the waiver period lapses, the county government will institute all necessary measures to recover any unpaid rates and penalties through legal proceedings, including repossessing of the defaulter's land. Lipa kodi, epuka hodi.
Ah, Helen Paul.
Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I've been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains removal. Harpic's thick formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach.
Wow, now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that she's part of the mission, the next house is yours.
Surviving drought is not as easy. But as majority of the inhabitants of Isiolo struggle to fight it, there are those who have conquered the environment and worked the land for survival. This is Kina in Isiolo. 5 years ago, a group of 25 locals came together to till this land and haven't looked back since. The land yields plenty and hunger doesn't touch them anymore.
Sai hatuna njaa na hata hatutaki kusaidiwa. Na hata ukame tunaona tu ni kitu iko, lakini ni kitu ambaye tunaweza ku-overcome.
The group uses irrigation from a nearby river to keep the farm thriving. The county government is using these successful farmers to showcase crop farming as the surest way to end the cycle of drought emergencies.
Pastoralists, they love their animals very much. So changing them is not a day issue. It takes time. So that's why we are really trying to have the social behavior change.
Mimi ni pastoral community. Tuko na mifugo. Na pia mifugo yangu haiwezi kufa juu niko na nyasi.
Kina sits like an oasis of hope in Isiolo County, such that while the surrounding areas are dry and livestock dying because of the drought, most of the people in this area have embraced farming and are going big into irrigated agriculture and are generating food not only for themselves but for their neighbors as well, and also teaching them how to survive the drought.
Kwa nini ukame inakumaliza wakati wewe uko na nguvu, wakati wewe unaweza? Ukulima sio ya kabila ingine, ukulima ni kujitakia na kujitolea.
But as the county promotes crop farming as an intervention, there are those who argue that this approach will be misleading pastoralists.
The right intervention for this community is not agriculture. Crop production, that is. No. With this community, the most important thing is restoration of rangelands.
Nicholas Lesokoyo's farm in Oldonyiro sits like a breath of fresh air. When all surrounding areas are dry and hot, it is cool and green here. It has taken Lesokoyo 20 years to rehabilitate the land and build his drought resilience.
Ukame ilikuwa imeniathiri sana kwa sababu mimi nilikuwa ni nafuga mbeleni kama wafugaji tu wa kawaida, mbuzi na ng'ombe kwa wingi pamoja na ngamia. Lakini baada ya muda fulani ilikuja kunilazimu niuze. I opted for plant and controlled grazing, ndio unaona sasa niko na inyasi hapa. Yani nimehakikisha kwamba maneno ya carrying capacity imekuwa observed sana. Nimeweka paddocks, so ng'ombe ama mbuzi wakikula kwa hii paddock wana move to the other one. So mimi sasa tuseme kama kwa hii ukame mimi sijaathirika.
His land is a little more than 50 acres, and he says limiting the size of his herd has helped keep his livestock alive.
You know, when I talk of 50 acres, it means that I'm supposed to keep not more than 5 cows in this farm.
Only 5?
Only 5, strictly.
At any given moment?
At any given moment. 10 acres for 1 cow. It means that throughout the year, or even if there is any drought, there is no time when I can drive, when those animals can be driven out of this place.
Now Lesokoyo spends his time teaching his neighbors how to survive drought through restoration of degraded lands.
What I wanted the community to learn from me, first and foremost, is to replicate what I have done. They, one, opt for plant and controlled grazing. And in their rangelands, they have to conserve so that during times of hardships, they have where to get assistance from. But when they just graze in a manner that it is not controlled or planned, then that is what contributes to the current problem now they are facing.
Isiolo County says it needs about $500 million shillings to respond effectively to drought, mainly through water tracking and humanitarian assistance.
You cannot end drought, but you can end emergencies. It means providing people with adequate shock absorbers.
We know that the cycles are becoming more frequent than they used to be. So instead of waiting to react, what preparedness actions can we put in place before the cycle comes into play to really mitigate, so that we're not dealing with an emergency, but we're dealing with a situation that we expected and then we are managing.
Through intervention with the government, yes, it is possible, because I'm a local from this area. Look at what I've done. If all those organizations, county, all those organizations come together, isn't it, pull their resources in one place, geared towards actually seeing to it that things will not be as usual, at least I'm quite certain that there will be there's positiveness in whatever undertaking they will be involved in, especially restoration of pastoral lands.
But as the affected communities wait for help and pray for rain, the October to December short rain season has already been projected to be below average, further straining their ability to cope and adapt.
Kumekuwa na baa la njaa kutokana na sababu kwamba kumekuwa na ukosefu wa mvua kwa msimu miwili. Kwa hivi sasa serikali imetenga zaidi ya shilingi bilioni 2.4 ambazo zinatumika kwa kuweza kununua chakula na kusambaza. Kwa kati ya hiyo bilioni 2.4, bilioni 1.2 imetumika kwa kununua chakula.
Tangu kiangazi ianze hakuna serikali imeleta msaada. Saa hii ndio sasa wanatafuta nini mbinu ya kuleta msaada, na mvua imekaribia kunyesha.
Anything to do with which is developmental to us pastoralists is just two things: water and grass. That's what we call development. Yes, because when we have pastures in plentiful, we have water in plentiful, we have no problem. We are relaxed people.
Zainab Wandati, NTV, in Isiolo County.